So I have the distinct pleasure today to welcome to Rethink Real Estate, Carol Tobey. Now, Carol Tobey is a little bit of a celebrity amongst the Harcourts crowd. Carol, I can't remember the last month that Carol was not in the top 20, but also has been such a consistent performer for so many years within the network, one of the top performers out of one of our number one offices in Bend, Oregon. Now, Carol has such a comprehensive way that she runs her business. Now, it's definitely about the client experience. It's definitely about making sure that her people feel that they are absolutely her top priority. But with the comprehensive element that she goes through today, with the way that she runs her database in her DCB A plus section, the neighborhood, welcome to the neighbor parties that she throws, all of these different ideas that she goes through today, I believe that whilst there's nothing revolutionary about it, it's just so practical that a lot of people haven't thought about how the way that they run their business. Carol is one of the most inspiring people that we get to speak to on Rethink Real Estate in the perspective of so many balls that she has juggling at any one time, but also her sheer effort and her sheer energy that she brings to her business. Hopefully you enjoy, because you should. These practical tips are so important to building a sustainable business. Enjoy. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rethink Real Estate. We have rockstar, I believe rockstar, certainly a rockstar in my mind, Carol Tobey on the podcast today. Welcome, Carol.
Hi. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Well, thank you for making the time, because you've had a busy schedule over the last week or so. You've been down in San Diego at the Brian Buffini conference.
That's right.
How did you enjoy San Diego, first of all?
Love San Diego. Love being by the water, the ocean. It's really kind of a magical place. It's really great. It's my fourth mastermind with Brian Buffini. I've been involved in coaching since 2018 with them. So it was my fourth mastermind. Really good.
What do you like? Again, there's a lot of questions we get, Carol, about the different types of trainers that are out there. You are one of the most high-performing agents that I know of within not only our company, but also the surrounding area for you within Central Oregon, because that is your marketplace, Bend, Oregon. But it's interesting when I see top performers, they sort of resonate with different trainers. Now, people ask, well, what do the best performers use? And there's no one answer, but what made you resonate with Brian and his work and what they do?
Let's see. I was with a team before I went out on my own. I was a buyer's agent for a pretty successful team in town, learned a lot from them. When I went out on my own, I really didn't like that feeling. I like my community. I like brainstorming. And I knew that I needed some systems in place. I just didn't know how to go about getting them. One of the things that I loved about Brian Buffini's coaching company is that they operate primarily on a referral basis, a referral system. And that hit home to me. I thought, I wanted to know where my business is coming from. I love systems. I love to wake up in the morning and know exactly what I'm going to do when I arrive at the office at 8:00 in the morning. So I loved that. And the trainers were great. And my coach, Portia, fabulous. I just really liked what they had to say about that. And they're also such a great community within the Buffini network. Unbelievable community within the coaching program there.
So community sounds like it's something that means a lot to you. And we're going to get back to this, because knowing your business a little like I do, Carol, is that's one of the things we'll go down today, is how you've basically made your network of people feel like a community. I think that's something that you've definitely done. But I want to just dive on something you just said. There's two things that really intrigued me with that. You were a buyer's agent on a team locally, and
yes.
That takes a tremendous amount of courage to then go out on your own. Was there something that happened? Was there something that, forced you into that decision, or is it just something that you knew you wanted to do? Like, can you walk us through that process?
It was something I knew I was going to be out on my own. Even when I started in real estate, I knew that I needed some good training. I really did. So I started out in this business just for a couple of months, basically on my own, and I knew that I needed I needed some additional training.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so when you made the decision to leap on your own, like that was a big decision, no doubt about it. But that structure obviously helped you from day one. Could you give us an outline of what your day looks like or what your week looks like from a structure perspective? Because I think that this is one of the things, like to the audience listening, Carol, you have this very much nailed. Like one of the things that I love when I'm up in the Bend office is that I hear the alarms go off in your office that you set on your phone, and I know instantaneously
Better turn
means
them
that
off.
it means that Carol is got something else to do now, or that she's doing something. Like it's. I think that your structure is something that certainly inspires me and that I envy. So could you take us through what your day/week looks like?
Yeah. Um, so I was just telling Chris, our Friday is really our Mondays, right? It's when we kind of get going again. But I try to get into the office pretty early in the morning. I love getting in here before or while it's quiet, and I get right into my database and update my database. So that is really important to me. That's really how I operate. It gets all those little details out of my head and into my database and on my yellow legal pad so that I can be a little bit more creative during the day, and just a little bit more systematized. So I get into the office, I pull up my CRM, I see who is on my call list that day. I try to structure something around those calls pertaining specifically to them. I see who's on my notes. What notes do I have to write that day? I get those notes out. And then I just start looking at maybe my pop by list that I would do that month. That's a little bit more planned, really, by quarters. But I take a look at all those things. I update where I am on my transactions. I update where I am on my active and potential clients, so that it really gets it out of my head and somewhere else that's going to keep it much more organized than I can in there. So that's what I do, and then I lay out my transactions from my file folders, and I just start going down and all the questions that I need to ask my clients or anything that I need to do on that transaction that day. I put it on bright sticky notes right on front of that, so that at any point, if I have to run out, I can just grab that file with me and maybe make a few calls along the way. And yeah, I just try to set my day up every day that way.
Yeah, it feels that way when you certainly are around you with the energy that you have. And I think that one of the things that I want people to understand is that probably them first hearing you at the moment, Carol, they think that you're very organized and you've got everything together. That's right. That doesn't mean that Carol isn't on the road and just pushing every day. Because one of the things that I've been amazed with yourself, Carol, is the volume of stuff that you have on at any one time. So when you take a listing on, can you take us through the process or that you go through when a listing comes on? Because one of the distinct differences that you offer in your marketplace, you have an interior design background as well. You offer them some staging. You have your own staging company. You do staging for other agents within your office as well.
I do.
Again, you have a very distinct touch that a lot of agents love. That then you offer that additional service as well. But I think that it's this overall package that you do for your listings that I find amazing. So could you take us through what if someone came to you and said, "Hey, Carol, I want to list my home at 123 Smith Street." What does that look like?
Well, I just like to do it right. I like to do things well, right? So if you're going to do anything, let's try to do it our best. So I meet with the client. Of course, we ask all those typical questions that most of us ask. But I also want to find out what motivation is. What's going on with them, and timing, I mean, all kinds of things like that. So one of the things that I like to do is present well. So we talk about clearing things out, maybe moving out so I can stage their home, having windows washed, carpets cleaned. I call her my move in, move out cleaner. She comes and, really addresses just, I mean, she gets into the nooks and crannies in a house so that we don't have to do that later, right? Because that's the very best thing is you have one time to have a first impression. So let's do it, right? Let's get that first impression.
Can I ask? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but can I ask? Do you have sellers that get resisted? Like, do you find people are a little reluctant to do that? Because I've heard that objection from a few agents. They're like, "Well, I don't want to move them out of their home, or I don't want to change their life too much. I want to make this easy for them." But at the end of the day, they're going through change anyway. But if somebody was resistant to that, do you find that often?
I don't find it very often, but when I come across that, I just really feel like it's not a good match,
Right.
right? It's like, square peg and round hole. I mean, it's just not a good match. So I just try to explain that I'm trying to get them what really is motivating them to sell.
Right.
And how we live in a house is not the same way that we sell a house. It's just not. They have to start packing up anyway. Let's start packing up now. I'm really excited for the new Harcourts moving boxes that, I'm super excited about that because right now I bring totes,
Yep.
and I go around the house with a roll of blue painter's tape on my wrist and I just start marking everything that I want them to pack up or get rid of. So they're pretty good about it. Of course you have to be sensitive to that. And I feel like I am, but it's also a layered thing that I do. So I don't do everything all at once, right? I meet with them first. I want them to know that I want the best experience for them. How can I deliver that? And sometimes I'll just be pretty blatant and ask them that. What's the best thing I can do for you? Because I can do all these things, and this is what I'd love to do. I really want to give you a white glove service. How do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
And then just be quiet. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. But yeah, and maybe they can't move out, but maybe they can take the dogs and the kids and stuff and go away for 5 hours, 6 hours. The first 3 days I have it on the market. It's tough. I mean, I have been had people leave for the weekend and I have gone in packing up their things in the garage and bringing in new staging, linens and towels and furnishings and rugs. And then we go back at the end of the day and put all their stuff back in so that they can come home and sleep at night. I mean, we have done things like that because, it's really what is best for your client, right?
I really love what you just said. What you just said is that how you live in a home is not how you sell a home. I just love that. That just really hit home for me because I've got to be honest, I'm not to that deep. Like when selling a home, I was a little more transactional when I was selling, Carol, and I really believe that it hurt probably if I was doing it from a long-term perspective. I think it would have hurt the client experience the whole way through because I was more like, okay, this is what I've got to work with. All right, I'll just work with this and see what I can do, and then I probably took a little bit more metallic approach. I'd use it to maybe beat them up on price a little bit later if something wasn't right with the home. But I think that speaks to how your repeat and referral business has worked for you because of the nature of everybody's experience.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's really fun for me to get a call and they'll say, my friends referred me to you. And they told me that you actually moved furniture in at the beginning of the day and moved furniture out at the end of the day and brought in all their lazy boy recliners for them to watch their movie that night. I mean, it's like, yeah, we definitely do that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So having let's say that you're talking to me and somebody like me is out there listening at the moment and they're making a decision. Okay, well that's the way I should be doing my business if I want to build a repeat and referral clientele. But I'm not designed like you are a very trendy person. You are a very fashionable person. You have a great eye for detail and you have a great sense of design. Is that Me, on the other hand, yeah, not so much. So, what do I need to look for in somebody that I need to partner with, or get a third party service to come in? What do I need to look for, or is it best to, like, because I don't know that if I'm not doing that, or I don't have the eye to do that, I don't know that I can go to that level of detail. What do I need to find in order to create that department of my business?
I think somebody that just understands that,
Right.
somebody that has a little bit more, maybe can hold your client's hand a little bit more with that. Someone that has definitely an eye for the presentation, right? That one first experience. Like,
Yep.
what do we need to do here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now the other thing that I want to talk about is that once the property is on the marketplace, there is the distinct thing that you do with your clients that have been on the market, that are on the market, or that have sold a home with you. You mentioned it before. It's this pop in thing that you do, and it just makes so much sense from a relationship building perspective. Can you talk us through the pop-ins that you do when they're on the market, or when they're just clients in your database and things along those lines?
So if I have my client leave during the day for 5 or 6 hours, and I just had two listings go live today, and I moved them, take the dogs, take the baby, go out to your mom's house for 5 or 6 hours, I will deliver dinner tonight when they 30 minutes after they come home tonight. I'm just gonna go over with dinner for them. It's a little thanks, like, thanks for being out of your house all day long. Don't make a mess in your kitchen, because, I don't want the cleaners to come back in. Here you go, pizza and salad. And, so that's one thing that we can do while the house is on the market. After, I like to quarterly just go in and check out my clients and see how they're doing, and make sure that once we get them into their new home, that they're happy with it, that maybe they need my ideas on paint colors, or I don't know, reupholstering dining room chairs, or whatever they may need. I just like to go in and see how they're doing, and make sure that that's still a good fit, and that they're happy, because I just think everybody likes to know that they're being thought of. And yeah, I mean, I have a great preferred vendor list, and if you make my preferred vendor list, you will be busy for a long, long time. I make sure that people have that, and that no problem. You have a spigot that now doesn't turn off. Let's get your plumber in there. Let's get things taken care of. And often, if it's small enough, I don't mind just treating them to something like that. Why
Right.
not? I'm so sorry that we didn't see that when we moved you in. It wasn't on the inspection report. Let me get my plumber in and get that taken care of. And it's really kind of nice to be able to do those things. I mean, we make a lot of money in this business. Yes, it some days feel like it's a grind, but those are the magic moments that you can do for somebody else, right? I mean, you can do really sweet, nice things, and it really doesn't cost very much. And
Right.
they will be your client for life. They will refer you a ton of business. Just and it makes you feel good,
Oh,
right?
of
It makes me
course.
feel really great to be able to do something like that for clients. Yeah.
I think that you're doing one thing at the moment that I love to the community that's listening in, is that you're raising the bar, because there's a lot of people that would literally put that into the too hard basket, or I'm not going to pay for that. I'm not helping them do that, or whatever it is. And I think that you're raising the bar, Carol, because at the end of the day, I would hate to compete against you. You just, that's the side of the business, that your mental tenacity to continue to think of others is something that has set you apart. But I think I want to segue this now into your database management. So we have a little bit of a theory amongst the group, is that, it's Carol Tobey's, database management. It's yours. You've labeled it. I certainly use it when I train people, because I've never met somebody that has a more comprehensive way of doing it than you. And, at the end of the day, it's such a great system that you have with the A plus, A, B, C, or that side of things that you manage it. Could you please
Yeah.
walk people through how you manage your database and how you classify your database?
Yes. So everybody's really started out as C's. They were just kind of middle of the road. As you said, my rankings are A plus, A, B, C, D. You really don't want to get to the D category, but everybody starts out as C. They're there for me to just enhance that relationship. Like, what can I do with this? So I just start communicating with them, right, on whatever level. I was sitting in the airport last night. Client reached out. I mean, a prospective client, and just said, "Tell me about the market in Bend. We're thinking about buying something. Might be a year and a half." I call them from the airport. Just like, tell me about what are you looking for, right? So they're just a C, but I put them on my C notes over here that I'm going to check back with them once a month. How we doing? How's things going? I sent you a few things. What'd you think about that? And they just, once they buy something from me, they move up to the B category. I'm going to stay in touch with them. I know them a little bit better. I have something in common with them. I've helped them buy a property. So we've got this thing that I can stay in touch with them on. I try to be good about sending out birthday cards to them, sometimes with their kids. I get invited to their kids' birthday parties. It's really fun. If I get invited, I'm going to go. I used to do anniversary cards of when they bought the house, but I wasn't doing that with good consistency, so I let that go because I really do believe consistency is everything, right? I heard something way back then, years ago, that the best time to market is always, but especially when you're busy, right? Do not let marketing go away when we're busy. And most people do. That's the first thing that they let go. And I try so hard not to have that happen. So my marketing, because I have a repeat and referral business primarily, those are the peeps that I stay in touch with, right? I don't sit in a lot of open houses. Sometimes I do, but if my clients want me to, but I try to give those to other agents that maybe don't have the business quite that I do. So, because that's where I started out, right? So
Yep.
if once I have a sale with someone, they move up into the B category, and there's more things that I can connect with them on. Once they send me another referral, or if they buy another home, or if they sell a home from me, then they, after 3 of those transactions, they move up to the A category. And I really pay attention to the people that are in the A category. I take them to dinner. I have them in my house. I love to cook for people and to just entertain. And so I will do that. Or, I'll take dinner to them. I really try to pay attention to those A people
Yep.
until they move up to A plus people. And then, that's quite a few transactions. It's quite a few referrals. And if you have about 20, maybe 25 people that are up in that A category that you're communicating with, either by a note or a phone call or a stopover, a pop by once a month, they are going to refer a lot of business to you, right? You don't have to do some of the things that maybe some of us are considering in marketing. So I just try to take care of the people that I love to work with, and they in turn send me other people that are like-minded that I usually love to work with.
Yeah.
If I don't, it's just really, I will excuse myself and say, I don't know that this is the best fit. I will try to find you someone else. I have no problem letting that go. The Shelley Griffin once told me, don't go down rabbit holes with people. Don't go, one client can take you down a rabbit hole that is hard to get out of. So, I just try to really I try to enjoy this business. It can be tough some days, and you can feel very isolated and alone. And I try to have fun with it. And,
Yeah.
relationships are a big deal to me.
I love
And
the
serving.
management that Well, I think the serving side of it, I think you've got under control. But I think that the part this is just so comprehensive. How that DCB, A plus works. I think it's just very comprehensive for somebody to do. You can obviously have your own classifications on different things. But the thing I remember you saying this to me one time, and maybe you didn't. You call me a liar if I'm lying about this, but is that I remember you saying to me is that you've got some people in your A plus category that have never sold or bought something from you, but they've just referred you a whole bunch of business.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Yep. Yep. They have referred a lot of business to me,
Yeah.
and when you look at it that way, it's like, I've sold millions of dollars worth of real estate on referrals from some of my just dear friends, right? Dear friends and family. So,
Yeah, and
yeah, take care
that's
of
so
them.
important. That's so
Yeah, if
important
I
to
take care of
realize.
them, they'll still be sending clients my way. So, yeah,
Speaking of taking care of, Carol, I wanna lead into sort of the last topic of our podcast here as we come to the sort of the concluding part of our time together, and it's something that you've been so gracious with your time so many times with the network and in the groups that you're part of. You're consistently in the top 20, so therefore you're part of that group that we communicate with. And one of the best bits of feedback outside of database that I've gotten from you is something that you call the welcome to the neighborhood party.
yeah,
Or I might have the label of that wrong, but could you walk us through this strategy and talk to us about what I'm talking about and do it a little bit more eloquently than I am?
yeah. Okay, that is really fun. And uh, once my buyers and I close on a home for them, I tell them, okay, we do this really fun thing. It's the welcome to the neighborhood party, and I'm going to do that really soon for you, so that when you move in your home, you already know some of your neighbors and your neighbors know you. It's really fun. I have done brunches on the weekends. I have done cocktail parties, and we just do it outside because the very first thing that a buyer, a new homeowner is going to do is, oh, I don't want to do it until I paint the inside of my house. I don't want to do it until we move in. But it's not about that. It's like we bring everything, we set it up outside, we set it up under our awning if it's snowing outside, or even in the garage. I bring some portable heaters. I bring, a big sound box. We bring the music. We bring the food. We bring the drinks, and we get the neighborhood involved. So about a week before we do this, I go around twice to the neighborhood. I knock on the doors. I introduce myself. I wear my Harcourts badge. I tell them who I am, that we have the new neighbor, that we've represented the buyer that's moving into so and so's, the Smith's old house. And the day before they move in or the day after they move in, we're going to be throwing a meet your new neighbor party. And then I hand them an invitation and say, put this on the front of your refrigerator. We really want everyone's participation. We really want our buyers to feel really welcome in the neighborhood. Oh, by the way, I'm bringing tacos from Barrio and beer and wine, and it'll be really fun. But please come by for. It's usually an hour and a half that we host that for. And people just start kind of coming out of their house. And the reason I do it in the front yard is so that everybody can see that everyone is there. And it's really, really fun. It's so much fun. And the business that I've gotten from that is
Oh, I can
unbelievable.
imagine.
I mean, that's a byproduct, right? It's that is really truly, wasn't really ever meant to be that. But I have gotten so much stinking business from neighbors going, do you do this all the time? It's like, yep, I try to. And they're like, oh my gosh, I have a friend who, it just goes on and on, right? If you give, you get. I mean, I think it just comes down to that, right? If you give, you get. And
This is one of those moments I had, Carol, where I've turned around and I'm like, I wish I could go back into real estate right now because that is real estate gold. Like when you first told me that, I'm like, how did I
yeah,
not think of that? That
yeah.
is just genuinely one of the best ideas I've ever heard of.
Well,
But
who doesn't like to go to a party,
yeah,
and a quick party? It's just so much fun. But I have actually gotten business from an across the street neighbor who was renting, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is really fun." And do you have time to help me find a house? I mean, you just never really know where your business is coming from. But I think when you do those types of things that are just fun and, that are just kind of in your wheelhouse, you attract the people that are meant to be working with you. So it's a lot
You
of
put
fun.
you put that you put that energy out there, Carol, of that caring nature of what you have and to serve, and I think that you get it back tenfold, and that's based on the results
I
that you
think you
have
do.
within the business.
Yeah, I think you definitely get it back tenfold. Yeah, it is fun.
Well, Carol, it's been a delight. We've gone through a lot today that people can certainly take on. The thing that I love about this podcast is that, and this episode specifically, is that the practicality of what we try and bring to people. And I think that you've given them a lot of practical things that they can implement into their business right now. They're not difficult. They don't cost you a lot of money. They just cost you a little bit of energy to start thinking about others as much as you do, and then build that repeat and referral business that then puts you at the top echelon of realtors within the country from an income perspective, just based on the perspective that you're caring for others.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you just have to plan, right? You just have to plan for it. And I think consistency is one of the biggest things, truly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on Rethink Real Estate.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
So, about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.